Well, I don't want to stare into the white reflection to make this so appealing to visual viewers. So, if listening to somebody just stare into the camera, talk about his motivations, his intention, his mode, oh, I already said that, motif. Um, yeah, that's what I'm going for. So here it goes. Trigger warning, essay and COC essay. So, something that I have been slandered with on my parents' narcissistic smear campaign is I've been branded as a predator, a pervert, a pedophile, and a child rapist. Now, I'm going to take you through my personal history, and I want you to tell me if you conclude with these opinions. Firstly, I am bisexual. I'm openly homosexual. I'm openly straight. I'm openly both. I haven't figured out whether I'm 50% gay, 100%, well, I can't say 100% straight. So 100% gay, yet I'm also straight. So sometimes 50-50 makes more sense, but then it's like, I don't know. So either way, remain with me instead of let me distract you because apparently providing you with context and information is um, distracting to um, I don't know, individuals who have judged me for far too long. Now, oh, and I've internalized their judgments. And so, what I'm learning to do is to ratify those judgments with the internalizing of my own judgments by externalizing these and then crafting my own. And it has provided me with results and momentum in my personal healing journey. And the only caveats I want to make known are if I begin slandering somebody or I begin um, utilizing information to appeal to somebody else's decision making, then it definitely depends on the context and the case there. However, like, for example, when I was most recently called a predator, I did retaliate by calling said individual a cunt. And while we could play victim and see who's harder of a victim, I would like to simply say that I felt offended by a false remark, so I retaliated with a potentially false remark. And I would have preferred to have said, I honor your emotions, I acknowledge your feelings. Let's talk about how your whole soul is to protect children now. However, respectfully to my own needs, I only have so much tolerance for being told that I'm intolerable, and that anytime I do begin to um, share my experience, let alone have emotions about it, I'm just being manipulative and vindictive. So, yeah, actually, after some amount of time, this does make you vindictive and resentful because you can no longer voice or emote or have any amount of self control. And um, anytime you begin to show self control or self discipline, here comes this external discipline telling you, "Oh, you're not obeying the way I want to discipline you," which is disobedience. Instead of allowing you to obey your own intuition, your own needs, convey those to others, and if somebody's really out to help me, then I need to give them the best information so that they can help me. And that's my intention. That's my work that I do. That's my desires, interfamily and extra family. Um, so, my timeline is when I was probably 7 or 8. I couldn't have been much older than that. And we were living at a place called Parfour Court. It was on the back of a, um, what do you call it? golf course, or it was either, yeah, I would say we were either at that one or it was either when I was living there or whichever place that I lived when we went to Batavia. But I think it had to have been Par Four Court because that's where we met Bowen and Garrett and the Swenson family. One day, um, Garrett took me behind the little patch of woods we had me aggressively grab his butt while, yeah, that was Par Four Court, while he JO'd onto a Mountain Dew bottle and then showed me his baby juice. And the whole thing was confusing and upsetting. And that's when I began having um, pain in my pubic area and like in my lower gut where it would feel like I'm being strangled inside of me, and I would have to lean over a couch to stop it, and I would just be crying and upset. And mom at the time, no idea how to deal with that, so she would just try to cope with that however she did, and shush me. And I don't understand why she didn't question that, or why she didn't um, really address that ever. It was just always a problem that I was hurting. So I'm also embarrassed about this at the time, and I don't understand how safe anybody would be by telling this information. Because what if Garrett hurts my mom, or the Simpsons family turned on my mom, and some of them were rather violent, um, or at least violently on drugs, which to me is a form of violence in my youth when I don't know any better and I don't know how people may react. And I've seen how people treat my single mother, and it was very often incredulous to say the least. So, yeah, this happens. Fast forward a couple years, now I'm 9 or 10, no later than 11, because it was when I was good friends with Sean Brock, and that was in around fourth or fifth grade. And yeah, I don't know, it must have been fifth grade, so I'd like to say 11 ish. Either way, he's a bigger kid than us, and mom shelters him and babysits him. And if you live in poverty situations, you know how the coerced and coaxed co-parenting happens instead of consent biased and fully informed care. It's just, that kid's going to be walking the streets, and my mom had some form of empathy to keep him in there. Well, he was also pretty crude and would talk about fucking my mom a lot, probably still wants to. And one time him and I were experimenting on the couch, and then we went into my brother and I's room, coerced Tyler into joining us. And because this was my second time having some kind of harassment without maybe being able to articulate that that's what it was at the time, and being scared and put on the defensive, I yielded to it, I submitted, and I chose to share in that moment with one another instead of ask for help, bang on the walls. I was afraid if we woke up my mom that I would just get beat up or tormented, or she would just tell me to, keep it to myself. So I did. I'm pretty well adaptable at that point in life to predicting how my parents are going to react to things. And they have very little energy from work and are very much absent and leaving us on our electronics. And I obviously have no trust to my stepmom because my parents have spent my entire childhood pitting us against each other. And she's also um, more interested in the appearance of parenting than the appeal of getting dirty and, protecting us, because to her it was a side thing. These are her husband's kids, they aren't her kids. And while she told everybody that was different, by the time I'm already 12 or 13, and I mean, they got married when I was 5 or 6. I don't think older than 7. I'm pretty sure 5 or 6. And by the time I was 9 or 10, there was just no chance of relationship. It was irreconcilable. And by the time I'm a teen now, and Tyler and I, every time after that we had relations, interfamilial, were consentful, we had those on and off all the way until I was personally 19 or 20. And um, more or less, he got caught aggressing on our other family members, our younger siblings, um, who to me, I'm concerned that when the story comes out, that the parents are going to try to make it seem like it's okay because they are adopted, when to me that means they're my family. And um, even if they take the incest out of this, it is still sexual abuse. It's interfamily torture. And when one of the siblings confessed to this, the father and I aggressively interrogated the offender, and he promised on his life that he only ever had a one time interaction with them, and it was just dry humping and there was no penetration. Well, he also swore that if we ever told anybody about this, or specifically if I did, and let people know, that he would kill me. So um, I hold on to this for years and get into drugs and drop out of college and try to just shut it up inside of me. I didn't like alcohol, so my drug of choice was psychedelics. And I did numerous occasions. I went much further than is most likely healthier, that with LSD, mushrooms, DMT, and I would even attempt to give these to Tyler. I was abusing cannabis, and I would even at times give cannabis to the younger siblings. And I wanted to kill myself for years because I thought that I was the problem. I thought that what's the point of having all this brain if I'm just a killer of souls? I'm a rapist and I'm only good for nothing. I'll just grow up to be an abuser. I definitely heard the hurt people at some point in my early teens and latched onto that because I was groomed by my mother growing up to grow up to be a nasty pig like all other men are. And had no maternal support from my stepmom to kind of oblige a different side of this. So all I'm seeing all the time is hatred of women coming from women telling me to hate them, when I have no inherent women hatred. I mean, I'm sure I do from the patriarchy and from living in a society that makes you a subhuman, all of us. However, if I'm subhuman with you, then we're both subhuman. And if I'm human, then you're human too. And if you're human, I'm human, is how I look at it. I'm a proud vegan. Anyhow, anytime that I challenge this what would you call it? I don't know if it's a paradigm, this narrative, this parental paradigm of we're perfect and there's nothing going on with us. I am rejected. I'm told, Nolan, you're just angry. You have anger issues and you need to figure them out. And of course, if I start really pushing, then I'm just told that I'm the evil, angry rapist, and I have trauma. I definitely do, and because I have trauma, I will re-traumatize others, which that can be partially true. However, I am doing the preemptive, proactive work to prevent that. As I like to say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And either way, um, the dynamics are very clear. They're ones of blame. They're ones of self-hatred for exploitation. They're ones of forced silence so that we can uphold the priest family diorama. Is that the right word? This little makeshift drama of who we are by only focusing on what we're not, or rather, never letting us focus on what we're not, or even worse, because we're not allowed to focus on who we are, we're getting manipulated to become who we aren't. And I've definitely allowed myself to be pulled into that at times and fall for the instigation. And I have allowed myself to give in to reactive abuse. And I forgive myself. I hold myself accountable. I hold myself responsible, and I will address any nuances to this COCSA and interfamily torture. So, Tyler told me growing up that he never did anything other than that one time. And recently I was speaking with another sibling who I'll go without naming for now. And he told me that there was on multiple occasions penetration, oral, and that Tyler would do it to all three of them at once and try to make it so they can't tell, or like there's some. I don't really understand the psychology of that because to me it seems like if you got more there, that you would have more chances of it getting out. So I don't really understand how the predator mindset works. However, I guess he thought that, I don't know, if I can attack multiple people at once, it shows them how strong I am so they won't band together and do anything. It had to be something along those lines of just using your weight and muscle to not necessarily healthily, let alone with the desire to promote fear and disharmony and kin mutilation. And so during this time where Tyler initially told us what this was when he was 15, so roughly 10 or 11, 12 years ago. Um, well, yeah, roughly 9 actually, because, um, or well, no. I would have been 16, so he would have been maybe 14 and a half, almost 15. Regardless of me trying to focus on hyper details, the um, the issue at that time was also that my dad had a surveillance device on or app or some way of seeing all of Tyler's messages, and Tyler was involved in a sex ring at Glen Estee that actually got onto the news where a bunch of teenagers were trading each other's nudes. I told my dad he's a pervert for that. I told him that that's very much pedophilic and predatory to watch a child trade nudes with other children. Now, obviously, that's wrong of Tyler and all those that were just playing fucking Yu Gi Oh with each other's nakedness. However, I also have this consideration that if you just watch that for happen for so long without getting involved or doing anything to stop it, you just watched it, that sits wrong with me. So I get into dad's emails and I find out because he had a password sheet, and so it was like very, um, I don't even know if I would call that hacking. It was just stealing data, but fucking intruding on his privacy the way he did to Tyler. And I find out that he had cheated on Shannon, and that's my stepmom, and the one who likes to say shame on us. You know, it's always us that need to feel their shame and do their emotional labor. I digress. So I find that out and I start throwing that back in his face because I feel like I need to protect Tyler from potential legal action because if he truly did do something one time, he's redeemable. He's able to be put through therapy. I begged for family therapy and was told that I'm the problem. Again, that I, Nolan Gustine Priest, am the problem and that nobody else needs therapy. That I would break the children's minds if I ever told them about the stuff that was happening to them, mind you, as if me asking what happened to them was going to be worse than what happened to them. And um, so this just becomes a very thrown under the rug and aggressive situation. There's another time where I'm playing psychedelic healer with Tyler in the couple months or years after that, and trying to get him to admit to this stuff now. And we're doing a lot of acid and mushrooms and talk about stuff we've been through, how we're both attracted to our mother and struggle with that. And I was also trying to make it so that he would not want to continue in a relationship anymore because by the time I leave the house, to me, I'm leaving this stuff behind. I want to actually have a family, and I'll tell them that I've been through this so they know that they're who they're making a family with. However, at this point is when things start to become, um, I'm pressuring Tyler to heal and to work through this and to address it. And my dad is upset that we're doing drugs. Obviously, that's fair. That's respectable. He also has no idea that those can be used for, recovering repressed childhood issues, memories, and healing by accepting them and then talking about them and transforming this feeling of hideousness into one of harmony. So we get caught because I tell my, well, dad, they had their suspicions, but I kind of intuited that they were going to confront us. So I try to confront them before. And I want to start talking about this, the child abuse on child abuse on child abuse. I get so afraid of the consequences of this conversation that I immediately cop out and start coming out to them, which not the way I wanted to do it. I did it though. And instead just addressed how I'm bisexual and I'm attracted to men and women. And I'm trying to buy Tyler time because I know he's going through a hard trip and I know my dad's about to make it worse. And so, Tyler had told me how dark he was feeling and self loathing. And um, I know that when you're going through a bad trip, a psychedelic experience, it amplifies how you're already feeling. So I wanted him to be able to process these feelings and work through them. And then my dad went and started aggressing on him, chasing around the room. And Tyler screamed for me. And I had dozed off on the couch because I was just so overwhelmed that I just didn't know what to do. And I was like partly listening and partly trying to um, calm down myself. So I kind of dozed off. And when I awake, I hear Tyler screaming. So I try to go run downstairs and he ain't down there. So I run upstairs into my room and dad is Tom and Jerry chasing his ass around the bed. And Tyler's jumping on the bed in a circle and dad's trying to get him. So I get in between it, and everybody's screaming, everybody's upset. He's blaming me for getting his son on drugs, his youngest biological, and blah blah blah. He's upset, and it's semi respectable because I'm actually utilizing substances that can help treat PTSD and uh, overall trauma. So I'm attempting to hold the nuance of respecting his needs, and also I cannot keep doing that the way he's disrespecting our needs without disrespecting myself. So I just try to be de-escalating as I can be, and I don't really know why Shannon's not getting involved because she claims that she's such a loving and endearing individual. Well, what she does is she runs up eventually after I start screaming for her, and Tyler's already screaming and she's clearly afraid. So I go up there, I get involved. When she comes up, what she starts doing is throwing on the waterworks, telling us how much she loves us and she's always been a mom to us. And I just need goddamn support in that moment. So whatever, I'll listen to your sob story. And you know what? I even was vulnerable enough to trust some of it. Well, I also realized that what she was doing was preventing anything from getting out of the house. She didn't want us to call the police, which I was very much asking and wanting to do. She didn't want us to tell other people that this happened. So now she just has to appeal to my sense of needing a mom and needing family. So it was just an attempt to manipulate and exploit my neediness so that they don't have to, she doesn't want to have to go back to living an impoverished life. And she thinks my dad needs to, I don't know, be able to just get drunk and be violent towards us and her. And she's in a very much hurt caretaker position. And I definitely pity her at times. So, um, one of the last times Tyler and I are having any form of intimacy, it was a couple years after this. Would have been when because I was roughly when I was 16, as I was saying, it's somewhere in that 6 month ballpark ish, give or take, whatever, close enough. Forgive me for struggling. And he becomes the aggressor, where it was a mutual thing. There's definitely been some shaky times where he initiated, I initiated. Well, now he's not stopping initiating even after I've asked him to stop. So I start saying like, dude, I'm gonna do something about this. I threaten him with violence. I threaten to expose him. And instead of indulging in the violence like I did growing up because I was upset with how I felt about all this different stuff and making it his problem, um, I chose the least violent thing I could do, and I told on him. I told our parents, and then I started telling friends and family, even though he had threatened with the suicide. And this kind of helped because now people seen dynamics differently, and what it really did was just put the nail in our relationship. And he has told me since then that I'm dead to him, and that he when he sees me, he's gonna kill me. So obviously, he's learned healthy coping mechanisms, and he is being supported by the parents to heal, and he is championing a loving future with all of us. Anyways, so since then, I have discovered that again, this is no way this was a one-time incident. One of my siblings went to my parents, told them this was happening, and was told to shut up, you're lying, and to stop telling your story because this is not your story to tell. Which I'm definitely gonna have to write a book one day and just call it "Not My Story to Tell" with exclamation points around it. And here's my audio recanting of it now. So I ask you, if you made it through this 20, almost 7 minute long video, having known that I have been coerced into sex by older males multiple times, bigger than me, stronger than me, more oppressive than I could be, and that I had mostly consensual sex with my brother until 19. And then he became unwilling to stop that relation and told me that he's not gay, he just likes the feeling, so I have to submit and give him that feeling. I say I'm done doing that, and I start to the revealing, and I tell everybody. And that's been my entire past 6 or 7 years plus of life because, we went roughly 10 years back. So, actually, we went all the way 20 years back realistically. And the main focus has been these past 10 years. And because they've been the most explosive and damaging. My youngest sibling got kicked out of the house. I got kicked out of the house, and it was all because we just wanted help. So, yeah, am I an openly bisexual man? Am I a pervert for that? For wanting consensual relationships with people my age outside of my family? Even though I have been through incest and was groomed growing up in multiple different ways, because mom would just say all kinds of stuff and told me I have a bigger dick than my dad's because I went through a phase where I was going around flaunting my boners and picking my pubes off and putting them on the fucking toilet seat, which is just rite of passage. I don't think it was harmful on my end to do something that is part of growing up. I wasn't going around. I mean, I definitely did some pervert stuff growing up because I was attracted to my mother. Like, I would take pictures of her and try to steal her panties and beat off to her for way too long. And yeah, I do have some perverseness about me that I'm addressing so that I may be pure. Um, I have no attraction to minors, and I have no desire to do anything to a baby other than protect them and give them fruits and vegetables and sing to them and make weird noises together and show love, inspire their parents to give them the right kind of caring. Um, I have no qualms with being told that I'm wrong, only if you're doing it to show me how to be right. Because if you're going to just sit there and tell me I'm wrong, 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 well, sure, you're going to inspire me to be an autodidactic and teach myself right. However, you're also making a relationship impossible because if I'm just this perverted predator, pedophile, rapist, killer, bastard child, but you keep interacting with me and you keep giving me just enough crumbs to get by every once in a while, or you buy me some food, or you tell me you love me, I need support. So I am willing to be receiving support. I'm unwilling to receive the bullying and the hidden whatever that's given every time I ask for something. the hidden offenses. So, yeah, judge me. Let me know. Love me.